So I wanted to pop on and do what I feel is a super important video that would have saved my life in a lot of chaos. So we went to Disneyland this time last year when my son was 6.5 years old. So he's now 7 and he has sensory processing integration disorder. So that means it can often be in the autism spectrum, but he does not have the autism to go with it. He's very social, though there are very social autistic kids. Don't get me wrong. He has where he's sensory avoiding instead of sensory seeking, and through a lot of therapy, occupational therapy, and just a lot of like submersion therapy, he's come a long way. So when we went to Disneyland this time last year, it was so busy. We prepared him ahead of time by going on YouTube, and we watched almost every ride, and we let him pick out the rides that he wanted to go on. And the very first ride that he wanted to go on, he's obsessed with trains, was the little, oh gosh, I forget what it's called. It's a little Western train. It's like a kiddie roller coaster. He was just at the height to be able to go on it, and he sat in the front. I sat behind him with my daughter. Didn't go on it. She was 1 at the time, but I sat with another person. And as it's going, he's having a great time, and my husband's like, put your hands up. And I'm like, don't put your hands up, because I knew it would start to be too much. And he was fine until it started to go up, kind of up a little bit. It wasn't a crazy roller coaster. Mind you, he was only 6. It would start to go up a little bit, and they had a bunch of TNT that was like exploding, and it was very loud. So super sensory stimulating. And I knew at that point, I'm like, oh gosh, this is bad. He covered his ears, and that's the first thing that he started doing when he was about 2. And I thought it was just normal kid stuff where he would cover his ears, like when you'd flush a toilet, not just a public toilet, but also the home toilet. So we got his sensory processing diagnosis when he was 5, maybe 5.5. So it was pretty new diagnosis when we went to Disneyland. But I did a little bit of research, and I was told that they had the earmuffs, but they had a measles outbreak. Don't quote me on that. They had some outbreak in Disneyland not too long before we went, and they got rid of everything that couldn't be sterilized. So when we got there, they didn't have it for us, and that was something that I was really worried about. Is I had planned on them having the earmuffs to try to help in case we needed it, because I didn't know what to expect. The last time we had been at Disneyland, he was 3 years old, and he didn't have a problem, and there was not a lot of real rides that he could go on either. He could go on a lot, but not anything that was loud or super stimulating. So fast forward a little bit, we went on the ride, and as soon as we got off, he was instantly cold. It was 75 degrees, and it was not cold out. And we brought a stroller, which not something that you typically do to have a 6-year-old, but we brought a double stroller because we had a 1.5-year-old, and my son Tristan, he wasn't big on walking. He would have a hard time walking from one side of Costco to the other without being exhausted. So we got a double stroller, and he sat down and he covered himself in 2 or 3 blankets, and his sensory response is to spike a super high fever. It was 104, and he starts shaking, gets the cold shakes like he's got the flu. And for the longest time, I always thought he was sick. I thought he was just a sickly kid that was always getting fevers. So I was treating the fevers, and the fevers weren't going away, or they would go away way faster than the medication could kick in. So my mom was with us, and she's like, oh, he's sick, give him some Tylenol. I'm like, no, this is a sensory thing. We need to get him in a quiet place. So she kind of fed his sensory stuff because she was nervous for him. So I gave him the Tylenol to appease grandma, and within 30 seconds, he threw it up. So his sensory overexposure or response is he instantly spikes a very high fever just out of nowhere. He typically will throw up, and he tries to get away. He's a very calm, quiet kid, so that's why we know that he's sensory avoiding. He's never been one to go play and run around on the playground or anything like that. So as soon as we saw him start to freak out, we walked away and we went to go get on the little canoe ride. Gosh, I wish I had the names of these rides to tell you, but it's very soothing. You just sit there and you row. He didn't row. He had on his life jacket and he just kind of curled up in a ball. Within 10 minutes, his fever was completely gone and he was happy and he was bubbly, and we just avoided loud as often as possible. Which then leads me to the next thing. You can go to guest services, and I believe it's in California Adventure that you can get it. Go get a handicap. Always bring a stroller, whether he's or she is of stroller age. Bring something, whether that's like a stroller, little scooter that goes on the back of your single stroller, or rent a double stroller. You can get a stroller at Disneyland. I'm telling you, it's gonna save your life. Whether they're sensory avoiding or sensory seeking, a stroller is a must. But with a stroller, they're really hard in the lines. Well, if you go and you tell them at guest services that your child has either autism, or they're on the spectrum, or they have sensory processing, you need no documentation. They will put a sticker for as many days you've purchased tickets. They will tape the sticker onto your stroller and you just bypass the lines. If you do have a diagnosis, which most of the times you don't even need it, you can also go to guest services and they will give you a pass, basically a fast pass to every ride. You go, and it might even be a jump pass. I forget what it's called, but you go and you present it to the line and you just go on another ride. And they message you when your spot is available and you go on the ride. Because for a lot of sensory kids, you can't stand in line. They can't handle the long lines with the people and the yelling and the chaos. So you avoid all lines by quickly telling them this is your problem. And same with like little, they don't typically allow strollers in to see the plays or the live things. If you have the handicap thing, you can push the stroller right up to the front and you get front seating even with the stroller, with the child that needs the stroller, because that's considered their wheelchair. So you can bypass the lines. You get the handicap thing to go on the stroller. The stroller is a must-have. And last thing is, the parades are so loud. They are so loud. And the speakers like are every 10 feet from each other. It's insane. He couldn't handle it. He was covering his ears. So the very last day that we were there, we had tickets to go see Fantasia, which was so loud. It was incredible. It was very overstimulating. My little 1.5-year-old daughter was like hooping and hollering and dancing, and she loved it. So I ordered these. These are children's earmuffs, and they have saved our life. They collapse down like this, so they're very small. I know I have a small head. I have very small hands too. They're very small. I ordered these on Amazon. 1 day free shipping, $10. They were waiting on our porch when we arrived back from Disneyland, and they went directly in my purse, and they've never left my purse. They have worked for my daughter for concerts and parades that we take my son to, and he's getting so much better. He's in 2nd grade. We homeschooled for a while, and we decided that he really needed the submersion of school, so he goes to a little charter school. Not huge classes, close-knit friends, and they're aware of what goes on with him. But they also have a pair of these for him. And he also really loves things like Under Armour clothing. He likes the feeling of it, kind of snug, but also just the texture. But again, he's just sensory avoiding, so they're soft and they don't really, there's no tags to bother him. But that's a different video. But these are like my #1 tips. These, the handicap sticker for your stroller, which is another absolute must-have, and they do make strollers for bigger kids. He's not very big. He's 55 pounds at 7.5. But even like a little scooter thing to go on the back of a stroller, they have some that they can full on like sit like a trike. But we had a double one that he could fully sit, just a sit and stand. And I believe Juvie Caboose makes one that can hold up to 150 pounds. It's special order, but I think they do have it. But Simply Target just sells a little stroller board that you just hook on the back of any stroller. It's a universal, and it's like $30 or $40. It's really gonna make or break your Disney trip or Universal trip or really anywhere to any very overstimulating. It's overstimulating for me. Christmas time at Disneyland is chaos. It's beautiful. It's like takes the magic of Disneyland and enhances it tenfold. It snows bubbles, they play Christmas music, you've got the whole projection of their little Christmas thing every like hour and a half. There's like designated times where they blow it up on It's a Small World building. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The balloons are beautiful. The whole place is amazing. We love Disneyland. We plan to go back very soon, but I won't go back without these headphones, another double stroller for my 2.5-year-old. She's like not into riding in a stroller at all. I'm still putting her in a stroller. There's too many people in and out to a stroller, but he will happily sit in a stroller. Look at the rides ahead of time. Just YouTube Disneyland or Disney World rides. Be prepared for what the ride is going to offer, what it's going to do, and when the loud noises are. And I mean, he was able to go on Splash Mountain and not lose his mind, but he couldn't do the little train one. But that's all I have for you today. I'm sorry this was a little bit long video, and I apologize if I got sidetracked a little bit, but I will go into more detail about the sensory processing disorder and the things we do to help with that, and our everyday life, and the accommodations that we make that are very small but monumentally life-changing. Yes, don't forget the handicap sticker. Don't forget the disability fast pass for every ride in both parks. It's gonna save your life. And these, whether they're seeking or avoiding, these are gonna save your life. $10. Children's ear noise canceling headphones, and it will give you the it'll give you the strength on how noise canceling it is, so he can still hear us talk with these on. He's not deaf with them on at all, but it really muffles the noise, and he will ask for them sometimes when he just needs a minute, and sometimes they just need a minute, and that's okay. So give them a minute, listen. If they can listen to their body and you can listen to them, then it's gonna go a lot easier. So I hope that was helpful, and have a blast wherever you're going. Bye.